welcome to another episode of our From the Helm series live here at the Resources Rising Stars Conference in Sydney for the Summer Series. I'm Grady Wolf, market analyst with Bell Direct, and I'm excited to be joined again by Centaurus Metals Managing Director Darren Gordon. Darren, thanks for joining me.
No trouble.
How's things been since we last chatted in Brazil, your nickel sulfide assets over there? Talk to us about the Jaguar project.
Look, there's been a lot of activity going on. We put out a feasibility study in the middle of the year, which showed really strong economics for our nickel sulfide project. We've had a resource upgrade, which has now taken our resource to over 1.2 million tonnes of contained nickel metal.
Wow.
So it's big. Not too many of those around the globe. And we're trying to leverage off that, obviously in the backdrop of what is not a great nickel market right now. But I think one of the biggest things coming out of the feasibility study was where our operating costs are going to sit. And very low. So I think that that's going to hold us in very good position. We're going to be able to compete with Indonesia every day of the week. And that's probably the most critical aspect to how we get this project up and running.
And that's what we want to hear, absolutely. Investors are looking for that low cost in a depreciated market at the moment. It's not just nickel though, across the board we're experiencing a low time across all of our commodities.
Absolutely.
So with nickel, when do you see a rally rebounding?
Look, obviously we're hopeful.
Optimistic?
Optimistic, but I think it probably still takes over 12 months to play out for any meaningful change in where the nickel price goes. We saw $18,000 a tonne nickel maybe, 3 months ago?
Yeah.
And then it's sort of pulled back now to sort of $15,500 a tonne. We still make money today if we were operating.
Yeah.
So we're not overly fearful about where that nickel price is. Mm-hmm. But if again, you talked about it this morning, looking into your crystal ball, pretty hard to do.
It is very hard to do.
But I feel like, we're in probably 12 to 18 months before we see any material change. But that sort of lines up really well with where our project timeline is.
Talking about a timeline, talk to me about the timeline to production.
Yeah, so we've got to do a bit of value engineering work right now in conjunction with the partnering process that we're running with Standard Chartered Bank. So that's sort of ticking along. Hopefully getting an investment decision by the middle of this year, and then going through a phase of work where the build might take 2 years. So sort of back end of 2027, looking at production, fingers crossed. Yep.
So also you're not just in nickel, copper gold's on the horizon with the Boinovo copper gold project.
Yep.
Talk to me about that and how that adds to the Centaurus project and pipeline.
Yeah, so look, it's smaller. It's more greenfields than what we're looking at with Jaguar. We were sort of spoiled by Jaguar. Just we're getting intersection, so that was good. So we've started from the basics, done all the soils, the mapping, etc., all the geophysical stuff, and now we're drilling it, and we've had some success. We've got some sort of higher grade zones, and then we've got some disseminated copper zones, and don't have all the assays for that back, but it's looking interesting. So there's a copper float plant only 20 kilometres away that's owned by BHP, and we think that will be available if we need to put material through. So it doesn't need to be a massive discovery for it to be something that's economic for our shareholders. Yeah,
and ESG is a big concern for a lot of investors, especially in the mining environment. How does ESG play out into your strategy for mining in Brazil?
Look, we obviously need to have a social licence to operate locally, so we're doing everything we can in relation to that. Good community support. There's a royalty system in Brazil that enables or encourages community support for projects.
Yeah.
But the hydropower in Brazil means that you're going to have a very low carbon footprint. We sit with only like 7 tonnes of carbon for every tonne of nickel, which is extremely low compared to a lot of the sort of Indonesian supply.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage we take from being in Brazil. Not that we've gone there for that specific reason, but we'll leverage off it absolutely.
Absolutely. And now the next 12 months, what milestones can investors expect to hear in the market?
Look, I think the biggest thing that investors will be looking for is how we fund the project. And so we're running this partnering process now. We've got groups going into the next phase of work, which is sort of extended due diligence. Which will include site visits and the like. So if we can get an outcome in relation to that sort of early in the new year, then I think that will be probably the biggest catalyst. There's some additional licensing that's imminent. There's this value engineering work that we're doing right now, which I'm hopeful could add 30% to our overall project economics.
Yeah.
That's going to come through in time, probably end of February for getting the outcome of that result.
Yeah.
But overall, I think there's a bit of positive momentum for us, albeit on a backdrop of not the greatest nickel price right now.
Yeah, so if you can weather that storm, you can weather any storm. Darren Gordon of Centaurus Metals, thank you for your time today. I hope you enjoyed that episode of From the Helm live here at the Resources Rising Stars Summer Series Conference. I'm Grady Wolf with Bell Direct, and be sure to subscribe to the Bell Direct YouTube channel to stay up to date with all market insights, commentary, and exclusive CEO interviews, especially with Darren Gordon. Thanks,
Grady. Cheers.